So while we're waiting, what's new, everybody?
Um, I'm happy with my clients. I've done several workshops. I did one last night and I watched the recording of it. Actually, it was Monday night. I watched the recording of it last night. It was really, really good. It was just what to do with your time. And I got commissioned to do on July the 13th a workshop that I've been preparing for 2 years. I've been building this workshop about what does the Bible say about selling, or how to use biblical principles to sell. And I've been working on this thing for 2 years, and I finally got an opportunity. It's called Principles to Prosper, and there's three men speaking, and I'm one of the men speaking. They asked me yesterday if I would do it. I said, "Man, this is perfect. I've been building this talk for 2 years now, and haven't had a chance to deliver it yet. I've written an article about it, but I didn't present it anywhere yet. So I'm excited about that coming up."
Awesome. That is, that sounds really good, Brian.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be my first time delivering this particular talk.
Wow.
Should I warn them not to book anybody behind me because I'm gonna rip up the stage? I'm gonna have the crowd rocking. They're gonna be cheering. They're gonna be on their feet by the time I'm done. So it's hard to follow Brother Brian. I'm telling you.
I remember years ago there was a
Uh-huh.
there was a singer um, who was he was a bit of a bad boy, and he used to play the piano, and he used to set fire to the piano, and as he was playing, etc. Right, and he he was he was not the main attraction. He was the second. And the guy who was the main said, "Just go and do your thing." He said, "You sure you don't want to go? You sure you don't want to go before me? Because when I'm finished, this crowd won't want to listen to you. I can tell you." So, and which was true. Great Balls of Fire is the name of the song. Anyone remember that?
Yes, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. That is it,
Good
right?
gracious, Great Balls of Fire. That's the
Yeah.
guy, right? And he sang it, and he lit the piano up on fire, etc. And then the guy who was supposed to be the main event, he just shrunk into the background.
Tried to tell you.
Yeah.
I
Jerry
had
Lee
a
Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis. I had a
Really?
professional speaker did follow me one time, and he said when he first got on, he goes, "I'm happy to be," and he was famous too. And he said, "I'll tell you one thing, I'm never following Brian again." But he was great though. He was good.
You really Lewis. My goodness. Hey, Jeffrey, good to see you. Okay.
Good, Jeff.
Good morning, Jeff.
Just a minute to us swallow my birthday cake. Hey, Joy.
You got a beer. Hello, Miss Joy Healy.
Okay. We'll get started because I know some people, especially Joy, you got to leave right on the hour. I appreciate that. And then a few other people are joining, but we'll just wait for them to come. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 162 of the Unacceptable Mastermind. We're now calling these just for the current theme, and we'll change it again in about a month's time. It's called Resourceful Retail Rebels. And the star of the week is John D. Allen. And the star we had last week was Brian K. McNeil. And if you want to see what Brian was all about, check on YouTube or check in our group. He was there and he did a brilliant job. Well done, Brian. Well done indeed.
Thank you.
Okay. So for those who are watching this replay, I have one very simple message for you. These people here give up their time every week for free, and their time is not cheap, and their time is not free, but they're giving it to you for free in order for you to learn from them, to appreciate who they are, what they stand for, what they believe in, and to give you a chance to survive in your business, whatever it may be. What I'm asking you to do a very small favor in return. It's to simply book a time with every single one, with Dan, John, with Jeffrey, or with Joy, and with Brian, and with Alan and Mark. Book a time with them to talk to them about you and your business. You will be surprised what you may learn from them. They will have doors of opportunity that you never even knew existed. They'll have ways for you to fine-tune what you do that you never even thought of. And this is not going to cost you anything. All right. So for those who are watching the recording, please, underneath this recording on YouTube, and there's nearly 3,000 subscribers of you now, do me a favor, reach out, book a time, talk to them. Don't just text them. Don't just visit their website. Actually, each of them I'm asking that right now, make sure you've got a place there where they can actually book a time and connect with you and talk with you. All right. I've said this many times, I'm going to say it again. You don't know who you don't know. All right. And they could have just the person you're looking for. They could be just the person you're looking for. They could have just the business opportunity you're looking for. They could have just the skill that you need. Right? They could have a whole lot of things. How in the heck would you know until you pick up the phone and talk to them, or book a time and get on a Zoom call with them like we're doing right now? So I can't strongly emphasize that enough. These people are good at what they do, and they're prepared to give you their time. If that's the case, then don't insult them by turning up and trying to sell them something. Turn up and listen. Turn up and be prepared to offer, this is my situation. Tell me how could you possibly help me? All right? That's what I'm asking you to do. Before we get on to the actual topic of the star of the day, which is John D. Allen, which I'm looking forward to, John, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves briefly. So people who are watching can get an idea of who you are, what you do, and what you like as a person. And do you smile? Are you easy to get on with? Okay, etc., etc. And we're going to start with you, Alan Edwards, up in the top left-hand corner of my screen. Start with you, Alan, followed by Dan Fox.
Hi, Peter. Hi, everyone. That's a great introduction. Thanks, Peter. I'm Alan Edwards. I'm based in Hampshire in the UK, and my company, Alpus Group, helps property owners to solve their problems and property investors to make great returns. So, for example, helping solve property owners' problems. If you've got a commercial property which is unused or underused, and you don't know how to deal with this, you're losing money, then we can help you by acquiring your property and repurposing it to another residential value, which is higher than the commercial value, or we can joint venture with you and allow you to get the benefit from the property that you own. This also applies to land which you may have, which you don't know what to do with. It's just sitting there costing you money. We can get planning permission, we can actually develop property, and we can ensure that you get the benefits from this property, because we have an ethical approach to property, and we make sure we get win-win solutions for everybody concerned. I'll leave my contact details in the chat down below. Cheers for now.
Thank you, Alan. And you just mentioned a really magic word.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it was?
Win-win?
No.
Is that 2 words or is that 1 word?
Well, it was 2 words, to be quite frank with you, but it will not win-win. It's called
Ethical.
joint venture.
Ah, joint ventures. Yes. These are useful ways of pooling resources so that you can get the maximum output from any situation. Someone may put in time, someone may put in money, someone may put in resources, but you can achieve more by joint venturing.
I agree. And the point I'm getting at, for those who are watching this, okay, bear in mind this, that you can't be everything to everybody. There's no way you can do that. Doesn't happen, not real. But there are parts that you are really good at. The parts that you are not really good at, if you were smart, if you were really smart, you would create a joint venture with the people who are in the areas that you can't do well. All right. And you may have 4 or 5 of those, which means then you are providing a range of services to your client base using joint ventures as well as your own skills. And both, that is then, Alan, a win-win.
Yes,
Most people muck up joint ventures, right? They muck them up because they go about them from their own selfish point of view, rather than thinking from a holistic, all-round point of view. All right. Shut up, Peter.
Sound, Peter. Thank you.
That's okay. Dan Fox, followed by the only woman in the room, followed by all these thoughts. Dan, followed by Joy.
Hello, everybody. Dan G. Fox here from Houston, Texas, in the United States. I help struggling and new affiliate marketers and network marketers to try to get on the right track, and get focused and get going in their online business. I know when I was starting out back in the mid 90s online, trying to make money online, I was trying to do a lot of things on my own, and I was not doing well, and I wished I'd had someone to help me through, get started up. So that was always my goal. Once I was able to get to a level where I could help others, that's what I do. Mostly in the make money online niche is what I do, in helping people to learn how to market online and create an income.
And is there any particular, how would you say it, target audience you use, Dan? Are they brand new online? Are they been online for a period of time?
I work with both new people and struggling. People who've been online for a while, but it's not quite made it over to the next level, or not made any money online as well. Okay. So, and usually when I start mentoring with someone, I assess where their level is, and I come up with a success plan specifically for them, based on what their level is and what their needs are. So it could be new or struggling.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Well done. Joy Healy, followed by Jeff Veal.
Hello. Hello, I'm Joy Healy, an affiliate marketer from Norwich in the United Kingdom. And a little bit like Dan, I tell affiliates who are not yet earning commissions about the outright lies that newcomers face when they first come online. And I particularly warn them against falling for the myth that they will make money effortlessly. It just doesn't happen. But I have joined a brand new training program that shows new affiliates what they need to have multiple streams of income. And that way, if there's a problem with one, the others will continue. The details of the new program and how to contact me are in the information I've added into the chat. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Joy. Okay. Jeff Veal, followed by Brian McNeil.
Hello, guys. My name's Jeff Veal. I'm the business guru. I've been doing marketing for a mere 50 years. I'm based over in Asia, and I've got a big team here. And if you need some help with your marketing, reach out. Remember, you don't know what you don't know. And if I don't know, I'll know someone who does know. So why not reach out and have a chat? Virtual cup of coffee costs you nothing, and we could potentially double your business. So why not reach out today? Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And I concur completely. That's the whole point of these people who are watching this. Reach out to people like Jeffrey, for goodness sake. He's got all sorts of resources there. All right. Brian McNeil, followed by John Allen.
Good morning. I'm Brian McNeil, the world's recognized authority on selling services. I am super excited about my whole world today. What I do is I help entrepreneurs and salespeople to sell themselves and their services better than they ever have before, so that they earn more money. And I do it through my coaching, my workshops, my talks from my platform, or my books. I'm currently super excited about my latest book. There's an adage that books are not written, they are rewritten. And that's what's going on with my latest project, but I'm super excited about it. It's called Mastering Sales Language. Eliminating these 21 phrases and embracing words that sell. And so I'm super excited about that project, but I've learned I'm adding more to it and changing some things, but I'm learning so much from you guys, and I'm looking forward to John D. Allen's talk today. Brian K. McNeil, the world's recognized authority on selling services.
I like that. The world's recognized authority. Yes. Yes. John D. Allen. My pleasure. John D. Allen.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm John D. Allen, Allen's Small Business Coaching from Northern Ontario in Canada. And I concur with Brian. He is the world's greatest salesperson. And you want to learn a lot, talk to him. He can really help you. What I do, I mentor coaches on how to solve their three biggest problems. The first one is how to get to your prospect's real problem. Because if you don't get to your real problem, they're not going to have a sale. The second one is how to end that chasing game once and for all. You'll end that, I'll call you in a couple of weeks, whatever, right? The third one is how they can add is for ego. The bottom line is for lifestyle. So if you want to have the lifestyle, put the money on your bottom line. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, John. I thought we lost you for a moment there. Okay, before we get to you, the star of the day, I've got a policy.
Don't forget Mark.
Oh, Mark, my godfather, Mark. Thank you, John. Mark, that is rude and unacceptable, and I publicly apologize.
I thought I was going to get away with it. Thanks, John.
Marking star, over to you.
Yeah, I'm based in New Zealand. We're a strangers community. It's a not-for-profit, paid-for organisation, and we're set up and we're helping to build people's social media for them, build your YouTube channels, any of your social media sites. If you're a coach, we can help you to create courses, sell your courses, train you to be a coach in sales. We help you to become an entrepreneur. We have business franchises for sale. If you have products or services, we can help you to sell them. Or if you'd like to sell many of our products or services, you're welcome to as well. So that's what we're doing, and we're doing it so that we can help other charities and sporting clubs to become self-reliant themselves. So that's my charity's mission, and that's what we're becoming self-funded ourselves and helping others to do it. So, and we do it through multiple streams of residual income, and we're your generational administration and wealth making partner.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, the apologies for today: Yvonne Jones, Anthony and Janet Pacelli, and Carol Davies. Carol Davies would like to be here, but she's got a house that has been vacuumed and it's had noise everywhere, and she said she can't hear herself think. So they all pass on their best wishes to you all, and I'll see you next week. Now we've got the star of the day. Okay. Are you ready, Mr. Allen? Because if you are, the floor is absolutely yours.
Thank you, Peter. Hello to everyone again. John D. Allen, Allen Small Business Coaching. What I want to share with you today, and this is a follow-up for what Brian was talking about last week, so it meshes really great, is fall in love with your prospect's problem, not your solution or program. So many people, entrepreneurs, salespeople, I know I was guilty of it for many years until I learned this. We all want to share our solution. We hear one small snippet of a problem and we're off and running. We can solve it. I can solve that, blah, blah. We're all ready to go. We go through, we give a great, grand and wonderful presentation. We get all done and they say, gee, John, that was great. I'll think about it. I'll call you. And they're gone. Now you're back in the chasing game. What that means basically is you didn't get to the real problem. Until you get to their real problem and they own it, which is a key point. They have to own that problem and want to solve it once and for all. Once they decide they want to solve it once and for all, then and only then do you even start talking about your program. Because before that, all you're doing, all you want to be doing is finding out whether you could even help them. And you do this by starting out, for example, I'll say, if I was talking to my good partner down there, Brian, let's take a step back for a moment. Tell me a little bit about your story, your business, and how everything works, so that, and your current challenges, so that I may be able to help you. Is that fair? Brian says, sure, that's great. Then, for example, he starts talking about his business and what his challenges are. And as he's going through it, I'll just keep saying, hey, could you tell me more about that? Could you give me some examples? What have you tried before to solve the problem? What's worked, what hasn't worked? The other big part is, what are the ramifications for not solving your problem? I talk about your COI, your cost of inaction. If you don't solve that problem, or your LOR, loss of revenue, what's it actually costing you? There's a lot of people out there that talk about the ROI, return on investment, and they never mention the actual cost. So if you don't solve that problem, what's it going to cost you? What's it going to mean to you financially, emotionally, physically? There's a lot of businesses out there that they promise their spouse the world, especially entrepreneurs. They promise their spouse the world, and they're going to take them on this great vacation and all this other good stuff, and it never happens. It's just one more time, dear. We only need a little more money on the credit card, and blah, 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 and it keeps adding up and adding up. And the spouse and your kids start losing faith in you. So this is where it comes down to your cost of inaction, of not growing your business. How do you think it would make you feel, or them feel, if you went to them, you promised them a vacation to Europe or a winter vacation somewhere warm, and you go to them and say, well, dear kids, the vacation's not going to happen. It isn't. The business isn't working. Your family starts to lose credibility with you. They may or may not tell you, but look at their eyes. You can tell that they're getting disappointed. And the more and more this happens, the less and less they believe you. So what you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is when you're working with people, you need to be able to get to the real problem. Once you find that real problem, just say to them, again, I'll pick on Brian. Brian, is this your real problem? Yep. Do you want to solve it once and for all, or do you want to live with it for a while? Brian says, I want to solve it once and for all. Great. Now you go into your program and what it does for you and how it works for them. The next part is, if they don't want to solve the problem, pass on. They're not your ideal prospect. And let them go. I tell people I'm not the right person for everyone, and there's no one on this call or in this world that is the right person for everyone. So don't be afraid to turn people down. That is a really big thing that people, have to become aware of. That just because they got a pulse and a wallet doesn't mean they're going to be the ideal prospect for you. As a matter of fact, we all know that when we try to convince somebody to become a prospect, they're usually the ones that become a real pain in the butt. They're not satisfied. They're not happy. They don't want anything to do with you. And by the way, when things don't work, it's all your fault. It's not going to be their fault because they didn't do the work. It's your fault because the stuff you shared didn't work. So what you need to do, like I say, ladies and gentlemen, is you need to get to the real problem. How do you do this? Think of yourself as being a doctor. Have a doctor-patient relationship rather than, I know because of the number of years I was in sales, like a lot of people, I was taught, you go into try and build a rapport. Hi, how are you today? What brought you in? And a bunch of other questions like that. It's all fake. As much as we like to think we're building real rapport, that's all fake. Instead, when you talk to be the doctor, what happens when you go into a doctor? They're not out there to be your best buddy or anything else. They're not there to have coffee with you. They're there to find out what's wrong. What do they usually say to you? What's your problem today? Where does it hurt? you know, what's going on. Then they diagnose before they ever write a prescription. If they write a prescription first before any diagnosis, run away because you got a quack. So, you know, diagnose the problem. The other thing to always remember is the doctor doesn't fill a prescription. The pharmacist does. The doctor just writes the prescription. So when you start talking to your clients and prospects, again, be the doctor. You've got the prescription. They got to do the work to fill it. You're not there to be their best buddy. You're not there to have coffee with them, everything else. And, you know, and this is on the initial call. You don't have a lot of time to build a friendship with them. So become the doctor of sales, become the doctor of affiliate marketing, the doctor of Facebook marketing. You could be the doctor of whatever. And again, the whole thing you want to do is diagnose their problem. It's all about them. It has nothing to do with you or your solution. The one thing to always keep in mind, and this was a hard thing for me to learn, was people don't give a damn about us or our solution when we first started talking to them. You know, that was hard on my head. I always thought, you know, I had the greatest, grandest, most wonderful solution, and everybody was going to love me for it. Didn't work with crap. You know, what happens is people talk about problems. They don't talk about solutions. So when you talk to them, talk about problems. You know, people buy when they feel understood. They don't buy when they understand you. So until that person actually understands, they feel understood by you, they're not going to buy. That's, again, is when you're going to get, gee, John, that was a great presentation. I'll call you. Or I got to talk to my mother, my father, my brother, my dead cat, my dog, whoever comes along, right? There's going to be some kind of an excuse. So, you know, again, make sure that the person understands you. One of the things that I learned this from Peter and some other mentors is a great way to do that is when you're done talking to people, say, where do we go from here? By the way, that's my heavy close. And I tell people sometimes before I start, especially on a second call, you know, I got a real heavy close and, you know, I'm going to hear it all tense up, say, oh, you can just say, what's this? And I say to them, where do we go from here? And you just see them go, that's it. Yep, that's my heavy close. And then as you're going through the presentation, you know, sometimes, depending on how it's going, I might say to them, are you ready for the heavy close? Here it comes. And they get a big smile on their face. Oh, yeah, where do we go from here? Right? Because you've had a conversation with them. You haven't tried to sell them anything. All you're doing is seeing if you can solve their problem. If you can solve their problem, let them know. If you can't solve their problem, also let them know. Like Jeff said, you know, if he doesn't have the answers, he knows people that do. And people appreciate when you're authentic and you're honest with them. You're not trying to ram something down their throat or anything like that. You're out there to give them the best value, the best service that you can. So is this making sense to everybody?
Yeah, it is, because it actually refers to something that Brian said earlier, and that is, in order to get people to open up to you and to tell you the truth, right, requires a very special skill in languaging. And that's what Brian was alluded to before about languaging, sales languaging. Because sales languaging, in my mind, or what? Back to you, John. How do you regard sales languaging?
Sales languaging is so very important. Again, I chuckle. When I first got into sales years ago, I was a cop. And when I first got into the sales industry, I was holding an interrogation. It wasn't a sales conversation. And people used to sit there, oh God, like, you know, am I going to get arrested type thing? So, you know, don't do that. It doesn't get you anywhere. Well, it will. It'll get you turfed out the door. But, that's the one thing that, have a conversation with people. The other thing, and I learned this lesson from our good dear buddy here, Peter. He said, talk to everybody as if they're not your ideal prospect. And I'm thinking when he first said this, like, why would you do that? A couple reasons. If they're not your ideal prospect, you're far more relaxed when you're talking to people because you're just going to have a conversation. The second part of that deal is they're relaxed as well because they're not going to feel any pressure. So when you're talking to them like that and you're just having a conversation, wow, they don't feel any stress. They don't feel any pressure that you're trying to lead them anywhere. And that's another thing. And Brian can attest to this, and so can the other people on the call that are in sales anytime. The normal deal is you try to lead the person down the path to the close. People know what you're doing. Prior to COVID and in the last century and all that stuff, those methods really work great.
Are you with us, John?
Know that, wow, these questions are trying to get me to go down to make a decision I may not want to make. If they want to make the sale with me, that's great. Or, come along with me, that's great. If they don't want to come along with it, that's fine. I'm good with it either way. That takes the pressure off of people. And again, you don't want them feeling any pressure. You want them to have it be their decision to join you, not yours trying to convince them to go into it. Peter, can I share the screen?
By all means, by all means. And while you're doing that, I just want to refer back to something that Brian did last week, because both of you are following a supplementary path to each other. And one of the things that Brian said, and Brian, this struck me really clearly, and that is the most important thing for you to do, more than anything else in the world, is to listen. Okay? Learn to listen. Years ago, you were there as the only person who had all the information. Okay? These days, they've got all the information. It's called Chat GPT. So don't try to pretend to be Chat GPT. I remember you saying that, Brian. That was very, very well done. Sorry, John, back to you.
No, thanks, Peter. Another thing that I talk to people about is rather than showing them my presentation, I show them my roadmap. So if I was coming down through, and I'll pick on Brian again, Brian says, yeah, that's my problem. Brian, could I show you my roadmap? Oh, how to solve problems with people with problems just like yours, how they solve it. Yeah, wow. This is the process. This roadmap walks them through. It's the process of doing it. It's not your solution. So when you talk about it, people, again, they don't care about your solution. All they want to know is, can you solve my problem? So for me, for example, step one is clarity. And you go left, it should be left to right, not going in a circle here. But again, when I start with, who's your ideal prospect, your ideal client? What do you want them to have clarity about? What's your offer about? What results can you provide? People want to know results. They want results, results, results. So until they get clear on that, nothing else is going to matter. Then we teach them about connection, how to get more eyeballs on, how to keep eyeballs on, how to engage with their prospects, and to build trust. And then the next part is collaboration with their clients, with JV partners, with intention. And hey, most of all, you want with profit. That's why you're in business. You're in business to make a profit, but your profit needs to be something that the prospect wants on their own. It's not you ramming it down their throat. The last step for me is they enroll with the program. They get the transformations they want. They get the solutions. They got the value. And the next step is, and it goes around in a circle. So to me, when you're working with the roadmap, that gives them something to concentrate on. It's not how many meetings they're going to have. It's not how much homework they got to do and all the rest of it. When you have a map, they could follow the simple process. Now they know exactly where they are. There was one guy I heard, I was watching a video on, the guy sells solar equipment. And he's got 4 steps, finds out what their desires are, what's available, the financing. And the last part is sets it up. As he's walking people through it, they say, well, what step are we on? Are we on step 1, step 2, step 3? It gives people something to concentrate on. They could follow you, go along. They know exactly where you are and what you're doing. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, it does.
Oh.
As long
And
as
you
it's,
guys, sorry, go ahead, Peter.
as long as it's simple and easy to understand. I saw one today. Honestly, it was like a telegraph pole full of wires. I had no idea what the diagram was telling me. I got completely lost. Okay. And this guy, he knew all about it because he did it every day. But I didn't have a clue. I said, what's all this? It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Visually, it just confused the living daylights out of me.
And that's what happens. You got to keep it simple. Keep it simple, Simon. When you work on the KISS principle, because we're experts at what we do, we understand it. It's all plain and simple, right? It's like Joy and Dan, they're going through about affiliates. It's real easy to talk about how to do affiliates and all the rest of it. But for someone that knows nothing about it, it's confusing as hell. I always tell people, and people chuckle, they go through this great, grand, and wonderful presentation. And if I don't understand it, I said, I had one of them, but the wheels fell off. And they look at me and say, pardon? Talk to me in English. I don't have a friggin' clue what you just said. It's like this diagram. They can show you a blueprint of how to build the Taj Mahal. If you don't have a clue how to do it, it's not going to do any good. So when you lay your roadmap out, keep it simple. 4 or 5 steps max, with 4 or 5 max bullet points underneath each step. And again, just go over and highlight them. It's a 30,000 foot overview of what you're doing. You're not there to break everything down, because clarity, that's what they want, right? Clarity will lead to the solution. Confusion says, the heck with you, I got to think about it. I'll run away because I don't have a clue what you're talking about. So make sure that the person's clear on what you're doing. The other thing is, as you're going through the roadmap, ask them if they're clear on it. When you're done with it, say, does the roadmap make sense to you? Is everything clear? Because again, without clarity, you're going nowhere fast. So the more you can involve your prospect or your potential client, keeping them clear and in the loop, that's when the sale is going to be made. Because then what's going to happen is they're going to come to you and say, Brian, how can you help me? What can you do for me? Or with Jeff, Facebook marketing, Jeff, how can you help? What's that going to do for me? Mark, same thing. People want clarity. They want results. So the simpler and the clearer you can make it. Oh, and the other thing on the roadmap, don't have your name and everything else all over it. It's not a piece of sales material. What it is just a simple deal. You can walk them down step by step. It'll work wonders, and it'll really go from there. Anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Great job,
John.
John. Great job.
Yeah,
Thanks, Brian.
I want to
Could I
piggyback
ask
on
a question, John?
I want to piggyback on you, John.
Oh,
as
sorry.
well.
Yeah, after you, Brian.
Okay. We were going. Clarity. I just put it in the chat. I'm finding today that being clear on what's the real problem is more important now than it's ever been. Offering solutions. I know you mentioned the diagnosis, but being real clear, even when past the point of when they think they found a solution, to ask another question. Okay, are we doing this? Or is that really the problem? I think uncovering the real issue is the real way to sell today. And I do agree that we listen ourselves into more sales than we talk ourselves into. So I wanted to highlight that. Mm-hmm.
Great. And you're 100% right there, because the one thing that I do is when I come down to it, it would be, Brian, is this your real problem? Is this the biggest problem you have? Right. When you agree with it, now the person also has to own that problem. If they're not willing to own that problem, it's either not their real problem or they're not a good fit for you. And that's the one thing where I say to you, are you ready to solve this problem once and for all, or do you want to live with it? Because if they want to live with it for a while, again, it's not serious for them. So thanks for bringing that up, Brian. That's great. Thank you. Alan, you had a question?
Hi, John. Yeah, I was interested. I follow the whole concept about the roadmap, but I'd be interested to know your thoughts about why you think it should be not branded, just like a piece of information, education, if you like.
The reason behind that, Alan, is you don't want it to appear like it's part of your sales material.
Right.
Right. It's just something simple for them to follow. It's a process, right? If you got your name all over it, and my name has to come off of that, by the way, but with your name all over it, it's part of your sales material. And the people think this is just it. It's something they're trying to sell me with.
Okay, got it.
One of the things that you could do, for example, is I'd have it laminated. I'd have it rolled up, and especially if you're going to meet people, I'd pull it out like you were pulling out a set of blueprints. I'd roll it out and say, here's my roadmap. We'll walk you through these steps. Then the property owner thinks, wow, they got a blueprint, right? Just like putting up my building.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a way. It's a great visual that they can understand and be far more effective for you as well.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you, John.
Alan, it'd be smart if John's made a point there about having it in what do you call it?
Laminated and like in a blueprint.
If you could have a laminated roadmap that you could write all over with the potential client, right? So together you are building the steps that they need to do in order to solve their commercial property interest requirements, right? That would be extremely powerful.
What Peter's talking here, Alan, is if you just had 4 titles across there and you write the bullet points in underneath as you come to them, that again on a laminated one can be very, very powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
If you're doing
write their words on there. Is this what you mean? You write them on there, okay? Because they then become really part of the conversation, and they're building the roadmap.
Yeah.
And if they're building,
it becomes bespoke to them. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
and then they'll own the darn thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, John.
It's total. That was total 100% customized to them. The other thing is when you're doing business online, you can do either just like I did, share it on screen, or you could send it to them if you're just doing a voice call and say, okay, are you sitting in front of your computer? Here it is. Send it to them. They open it up and wow, it's right there in front of them. They've got it and it's good to go. It's a very powerful way to get your deal. And again, you're not getting into all the nitty gritties of all your program and what it does. All you're doing is walking them through some basic steps so that they see the results that they're going to get. That's your main part.
Great. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Well said, John. Any other questions for John? Because one of the underlying things, John, that you alluded to was the fact that there's one thing that people are addicted to, and that is they all like to feel that they're understood, right? If they feel like you understand them, And that's the emotional, empathetic side of it. They feel that you're really trying to understand them. Then they're more than likely going to listen to you, because they all of a sudden realize this guy here is genuinely interested in me. And if he's genuinely interested in me, then there's every darn chance they're going to be interested in what you have to do to help them solve the problem as well. Food for thought.
And the other part goes with that is if you're listening to the person and they're the main topic, right? The 80-20 rule comes in, they're doing 80% of the talking and you're doing 20. Now what happens is I think, wow, this guy's not trying to sell me anything. He's actually listening to what I'm saying, because there's so many of us out there. And I know I used to be guilty of it. I was always told, I tell people we got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I always got told I had 2 mouths and 1 ear because I did more in talking than I did listening. And a lot of salespeople are guilty of that, because they hear something, they jump ahead in their mind to the next thing. How can I lead them? And the person knows that you're trying to lead them down that path. Where if all you're doing is just listening to them, getting them to keep peeling back the layers of the onion or going down the iceberg, whatever you want to call it, the more they're involved in that, the more they're thinking, wow, this guy's different, this gal's different. They're not trying to sell anything. They want to know what's involved to me, or what's interests me, or what my problems are. They're really interested in me, like Peter said. Now, the person said, I want to know more. Then that's when they come to you and say, how can you help me?
I would like to piggyback on that too. What you and Peter just said together, I call it the 2 things that your clients want the most from you that they don't tell you. The 2 things that they want the most that's not spoken. And they both are equally important. I know it's 2 things, but they both are equally important. But one thing they really want from you is they want you to make them feel important. They want, you have to imagine there's a sign behind their head that flashes saying, make me feel important. The biggest crime is to make them feel like they're one of a number. And there's lots of ways to make people feel important. One is to listen to them well, and others to use their name, but just make them feel important. You got to remember that that's what they really, really want, but they don't say. Please make me feel important. And the other thing they really want from you that they don't say is they want to believe that you can solve one of their problems. One, they don't want you to come across like you solve all their problems, but they want to believe that there's at least one problem that they have that can really be solved through you. Those are the things that they really want but don't say. But we have to be mindful of that.
And one of the things I heard years ago, and I'm kind of trying to remember that my interactions. I don't even know who coined the phrase, but people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah, and so when using all that you've been talking about, John, is really helping them to understand that you care about them and you want to help them with their issues makes a big difference. Other than I've got the solution, here I will fix you. I'm here to fix you. People don't want to be fixed. They want to know that you're really listening to them and really care about where their issues are.
Yeah, they're great points. Thanks for sharing. I tell people there's 5 questions that your prospect has. They don't ask, but you have to answer. The first one is, do I trust them enough to answer their questions honestly? Second one is, do I trust them enough to follow through on their solution? Third one is, can I do it? The fourth one is, do I really want to do it? That one's really a big one. And the fifth one is he or she the right person to help me? Again, it all comes back to showing these people that you care and really want to deal with them. So, it's all great questions and great things. Thanks everybody for your contributions as well.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Any other questions before we go? Well done, John. Well done indeed. Anything else? Going once. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, very much indeed. And thank you, John, for sharing your expertise. And I look forward to seeing you all next week, same time, same station, okay, and same Zoom link. Until then, best wishes from Thailand. Okay, bye-bye for now.
Take care,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks, John. Bye all.